Boy, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
Wait a minute, am I keeping up with the old tradition where they say anytime it's Trinidad time, I rolling in just anytime I want?
That's right. Anytime.
I don't know what you're trying tonight, you know. I don't know what it is you're trying tonight. This is not no Marshall Grant thing we're doing here.
I don't know. I just rolling in just when it's time for me to be sitting face forward. I know you just see my shoulder sliding into the frame. But anyway, people, good evening and welcome. Good evening, good evening, good
Thank
evening.
you. Good evening.
How
Thank
you
you,
all
Karin.
doing?
Good, good. Life is good.
Everybody all right?
Everybody's all right.
All right. The last time I see you, Earl, you had a little more black going on here, so and that was a couple months ago.
I decided for the new year to go gray.
To go, so you just started last week. All right.
Yes, sir.
I hear you. At least we embracing it, but we partner up there. I don't know what kind of color thingy going on, but some weeks it's more black than others, and some week it's more gray than others. That tells there's some inconsistency going on around here.
The fella quiet, boy.
Embrace the gray. Embrace the gray is what I'm saying to you.
But I'm curious, Karin, what do you think about that?
About what?
You know, some guys try to hide the gray and others just let it show. What is your opinion as a woman?
You see, if you're dealing with a real woman, you don't need to hide anything that you are.
I hear you.
All right.
All right. So we're going to get things rolling this evening. Once again, good evening and welcome to Caribbean Feedback. I am your moderator, Curtis Henry. And sitting in with us this evening, we have Miss Karin Forrester from Bantu Creations.
That's right.
Karin, could you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what it is you do?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karin Forrester. I represent Bantu Creations. Bantu Creations offers beautifully made, African-inspired, lightweight, handcrafted, one-of-a-kind earrings in some great shapes, colors, shades, and sizes. Don't let the large sizes fool you. They're extremely lightweight for the grown-up ladies and also for the little princesses. We have different sizes that are beautifully fitted for teenagers, even preteens. I can be found on Facebook and on IG as Bantu Creations. Bantu Creations with a K. Back to you, Mr. Henry.
Thank you so much, Miss Forrester. And I also like to insist that not because the holidays are over, I know people are still spending money. I'm going to sound like the preacher right now. Take that stimulus check, go online and shop by Bantu Creations. That's how the preachers, they tell you brave enough, take the money and go give it to the church. So who am I? Take that stimulus check and shop at Bantu Creations.
That's right.
Buy something for your girlfriend. Buy something for your wife. Buy something for your wife and your girlfriend.
No. No.
Can't do that.
So wait. So Karin, if someone comes to you and say, I'm going to buy this and this and this from you for my wife or my girlfriend, you go tell them no?
I will say, please do not share your information with me. Just let me know what you want, what color, what size do you want it in. I don't need to know anything about who you're buying for, why, nothing. I don't need your information.
I don't need to go off topic, but I saw a very interesting clip. There was this African footballer. I can't remember what game they won or whatever, and the press came to him and he said, oh, this time, I'd like to thank my wife, my girlfriend. No, my wife. Yeah, I love you very much, baby. I want to thank my wife. He was so caught up in the moment. He thanked his wife, his girlfriend. Oh boy, he was in some hot water there.
I'm sure.
Anyway, moving right along, we have a special guest with us this evening. My flesh and blood, my cousin, sharing that Henry blood and that Henry excellence. Good evening, Mr. Earl Henry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I'm Earl Henry. I consider myself a public health educator. I'm chair of the Allied Health Department at Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama is considered the most affordable city to live in the country. So I'm happy about that. And I'm encouraging you to visit us at some time. I'm here, so visit. I haven't seen my cousin Sam Archer. He have not been here for years. And also, Curtis, you got to come by. Curtis passed by on the highway not too far from me. I think he was going to Nashville, which is 2 hours away.
He stopped by and
I was on the road. I was on the road. So even if he called, he would not have been able to see me. He did call and say he was passing outside my. What you said, Sam?
I thought he passed to use the bathroom. But
No. He passed out. Few miles
I
on the
tell him
highway.
I passed in my window, wave outside.
Yeah. But my area is health education, public health, lifestyle medicine. That is my area of expertise. And I'm very happy to be here tonight with my two cousins and the beautiful Karin.
Thank you.
Next in line, we have our esteemed member, one of our co-founders, Mr. Samuel Archer from Musiclog.com. Mr. Archer.
Yes. So, when you're doing a lot of things and wearing a lot of hats, sometimes you kind of mess up on the situation. So, when Karin was doing the Bantu Creations, normally I would press something and the earrings will show. So I want to take the moment and just give her that due.
Nice.
So you can see the Bantu Creation products.
Beautiful.
And, so at least you guys see what it looks like based on what she was saying earlier. So I wanted to correct that. Also, I know probably, Curtis, you're probably going to give Dr. Judith a little shout out. But I just want to display what she has as well, so folks can just see. So you want to just say something for Dr. Judith really quick?
Okay, one of our regulars on the panel is Dr. Judith Barnes. However, she's a bit under the weather today and she won't be joining us this evening. But we still have to give her kudos and we're going to behave as if she's here. I just won't be able to be ponging she and teasing she as normal. But we're going to behave as if she's here because she's still with us in spirit.
Yeah,
Judith, we love you,
right,
we miss you.
Right.
Get better, hope you can be with us soon. So at this time, Sam, please go ahead and tell everybody what it is Judith does. She's a mental health specialist.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's a mental health specialist. She does counseling, Christian counseling, as she states. And she's also an artist.
Yes, she's an artist.
She discovered her new gift by painting, works on canvas, and she has sold quite a few, several of her paintings she has sold, and she has a calendar for 2021. Each month has a different one of her original paintings on it. Yeah. She's also the author of a brand new book. I'm not privy to the name of that, but Judith, we love you, and you're here in spirit.
All right. And we want to just give our folks some love. Thank you, Sherry-Ann. Thank you, Antonio. And Lucy and Sherry-Ann. We're gonna have to give them something special. We're gonna have to give them something really, really special because they've been diehard Caribbean feedback supporters. So you want to give them a shout out. So on to me, I am from Musiclog.com. We are an online publication. Musiclog is where music, entertainment, and culture lives. So we do a lot of reviews and new album releases and book reviews and artist interviews and things of that nature. And we also want to send shout out to Musiclog Woman. If you haven't gone to musiclogwoman.com and subscribe, I want all the ladies and kings and queens, head over there and support Musiclog Woman. Shout out to Miss Nadira Noorjahan and the writers, the contributors and staff at musicalogwoman.com. Please check them out. And I am last year I was saying I'm a new author. What am I saying this time? I'm a recent author. When you say a new author for 1 year, what do you become the second year?
Established.
I'm established. I'm an established new author. And this is the book, The Hybrid Executive. And it's now available at Barnes & Noble's, Book Baby, and Amazon. And it's good for up-and-coming artists and indiepreneurs. And it doesn't actually matter what your business is. If you want to get your brain and your mind and everything together, we have some really good stuff there. And this is my favorite part of the podcast. So this week, we are... You guys ready? 10.
Episode number 26.
That's right. Let me drink some tea with that. Around here.
It seems like just yesterday we started, and we kept pushing, we kept producing, and it shows with some hard work, persistence, tenacity, consistency, just what you can accomplish.
That's right.
No one was keeping us back from doing this for years but ourselves. We got out of our own way, and we began, and we keep going.
We wanted some change.
Yes.
Mark?
Once again,
Mark?
my name is Curtis Henry. I am... yes, we forget our esteemed brother, Mark.
Mark
who is
Chase.
also a bit under the weather this evening. No one better to introduce Mark, even though he's not here, than Miss Forrester.
Yeah, Miss Forrester, take it away.
On behalf of Mr. Chase.
Okay. Mark Chase is a forensic auditor, does taxes, can handle any problems that you have with the federal government. He can iron out all types of issues financially for you. He could not be here today, but I'm sure that he's watching us and wishing that he could be present. You can find him on Facebook as Mark Audit Services. Mark Chase Audit Services, excuse me. Okay.
So wait, you say Mark watching? If Mark healthy enough to watch, Mark healthy enough to be on the show. So if you're hearing me, Mark, I don't think I'm afraid to stop talking about you because you're feeling a little bad this evening. No sympathy. Not for me.
All right.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Curtis Henry. I am the producer and host of Caribbean Chat. At Caribbean Chat, we provide a platform where we celebrate the history and culture of Caribbean people in entertainment, the arts, politics, sports, education, and economics. And we explore the many profound contributions they have made to society. Look us up on YouTube at Caribbean Chat. That's chat with 2 T's. You can also follow us on Facebook and like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. That's Caribbean Chat with 2 T's. However, we are here right now on Caribbean Feedback, and I urge you to participate in the program. If you like what it is you're seeing, you like what it is you're hearing, leave us a comment. Tell us we're doing a good job. Tell us we're not doing too much of a good job. Tell us what we need to do to improve. Tell us what you would like to hear as a topic discussed on Caribbean Feedback. This is not just our show, it's your show. We're giving you feedback on things that are happening in society, things that affect us as a people, as Caribbean people in the diaspora, outside of the diaspora, wherever we may be. Things that affect us as people and as a family. This evening, we want to talk about change. I don't mean small change in your pocket.
You're talking about
I don't mean change from $1.
Oh, okay.
If you want change, be the change. I'm not talking about cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, $1.
That is
not
wine.
that kind of change.
That is not change. That is whining.
Not that kind of change.
Yeah.
You
We
see,
don't want
far
no
too
change. We want change.
change.
All right. No wine change.
Far too often, we as imperfect beings tend to think that everything that's wrong in society, everything that's messed up, everything that needs correcting in the world is someone else's fault. As some of you may already know, I am the father of 7 children. And over the years, there have been an 8th child hiding in my house somewhere. Because every time something is left undone and I ask, who left the toys on the floor? In unison, they answer, not me. Whose turn it is to sweep the floor? Not me. Who ate the last bit of ice cream and left the bowl in the freezer? You already know the answer. Not me. We never seem to take responsibility for anything. It's always somebody else's fault. I expect that from children, but too many of us as adults, we seem to keep pointing that finger, but we need to remember every time you point that accusing finger, you have 3, 4 pointing right back at yourself. Oftentimes in relationships, we point that accusing fingers at others, somehow thinking that if we shine the spotlight on other people's inadequacies, we may help them to recognize their faults and miraculously change into being better people. We continuously highlight faults, frailties, and transgressions of others, and then become indignant when we get more of the very same thing we complain about. We spend too much time trying to change other people when we should be taking a much closer look at changing ourselves. Even though Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi is credited with coming up with the phrase, be the change you'd like to see in the world, that isn't exactly what he said. But that phrase is credited to him. But Michael Jackson said it best. I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
In the mirror, that's right.
I'm asking him
to
change his ways. What way are we, or should we as a people, try to change our ways? Panel?
Well, one of my favorite Calypsonians from Tobago Crusoe, had a hit song. I think he won the Calypso King that year with the song Change. Remember that? I hope, I don't know if Sammy remember that. Change is a simple word, but it means a lot. That is how the Calypso starts. Change is a simple word and it means a lot. And then another of my favorite song is the song Let There Be Peace on Earth, but let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, but let it begin with me. And you're right. We have to introspect more. We got to learn how to take responsibility and accountability. We have a leader who is on the way out, and he never embraced that, the fact that we need to be responsible, personal responsibility, personal accountability, change. We all must change. Change is part of life. You know, no one's perfect. So we have to learn that change is inevitable. Look, I'm not the same. I had an afro. It's gone. I have to embrace that. I have to accept that. You know, when I look at my young pictures when I was in my 20s and I look at myself now, I say, whoa, that's some change. You know, the change is a part of life. And we have to embrace it, we have to accept it, and just move with it. So yes, change. We gotta change. We gotta change.
Sam?
So one of the things I wanted to focus on in reference to change is I'll actually just show a picture in our thing, and then you just take a look at it. And I think it's something that we see normally, and I just thought that one of the, that it would be a really good conversation piece. So here goes the picture.
Right, powerful, profound.
Who wants change?
Yeah, everybody, yeah.
Who wants to change?
Ah.
And it's interesting you know, it's like life is a spectator sport or something. You know, folks want to sit down and dictate or spectate and make comments. You know, yeah, run to the goal over there. Do this with your life. This is what we need to do. This is what you need to do. Da, 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 and all of that. And the you know, what causes us not to want to step into that mode of making a change? What is there a fear? You know, is it a you know, you're comfortable where you are?
That's
You
what
know
it
you
is.
need to get out, but you're afraid because is it an unknown thing?
You don't
That
Most
want
of
to
us
take,
don't think.
you,
Most
you
of
don't
us
want to
don't
take
think we need to change.
responsibility. You don't want to take responsibility, nor do you want the responsibility of maintaining
That's right.
whatever you start. A lot of people don't want the responsibility to do the maintenance, and it is maintenance. Depends on what we're talking about. Even in a relationship, it's maintenance. You know,
to see it to the end.
to see it through.
Yes, that's the key. I think is actually because some people make the first step and then they kind of stop halfway. But some people have the wherewithal to keep going forward regardless,
And
going
maintain
forward
momentum.
until you get to that end, until you get to the end of that hurdle or that
The,
thing you need to adopt.
and the assumption culturally is that change is a negative word. It isn't. Change
No,
can be incredibly positive.
that's right.
Mm.
Historically, we've seen that for us as a people and all over the world. Change can be amazingly positive, but we always assign a negative tone to it.
Yeah.
Could anybody tell us about any changes, positive, that they have made in recently?
Recently, well, I know I've made a decision to give up plastics. We were discussing it in the last show. It's a slow process, but I will do that. I will give up plastics and use other fibers, more sustainable organic fibers, and give up plastic bottles, buying items in plastic bottles. So that is a major change for me because I've seen what it is doing globally to our oceans, and that is not something that I can look at and ignore because we have to think of the generations that come behind us, you know. So that is something I'm giving up.
Yeah. That's
It's
great.
kind of scary as you mentioned that because one of the things I've always spoken about, I tell people that the ocean has been here from the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
And for so many years, we have been dumping sewage and so many dead bodies, sunken ships, wars have been fought on that ocean. And the ocean just seemed to take it all.
I
It
heard
just seemed to cleanse it all.
I heard a statistic about 3 days ago from ocean photographer, very well known ocean photographer. In the last 30 years, we've lost 50%, 50% of our coral reefs
Wow.
around the world. And that is the baseline for the ocean to thrive. All animals, the whole chain, ecosystem is dependent on coral reefs. In 30 years, we've lost 50% of our coral reefs around the world. That's due to climate changes, but it's also due to our influences, our negative influences with garbage and dumping.
Wow.
Well, yeah. I think Sammy and we can relate to that. We have a reef in Tobago, and that reef has been damaged by not just climate change, but by people removing corals. People go out and try to remove corals and stuff, and it's not the same. I don't know if you've been to Buku Reef. I think Sammy
In
had.
the
But
90s,
Yeah,
I've been there.
it's
I've
not
been
the same.
there.
I
In
went there
fact,
in the 90s.
Right. And so it's not the same, So yeah, change.
when
In that
I
respect, change is negative in that respect. But as Karin rightly said, change, most of us look at that change as a negative thing, but it's not. In the full scope of the word change, we should embrace change.
Absolutely.
We should
Absolutely.
embrace change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
so
it can
what I was
start
going
with
to
that.
say. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying it can start with that one individual, because a lot of people seem to think that, and this is one of my objection with flowers. He goes to the reef and he pulls something up so he can carry it home and put it on a mantle.
Right.
So he alone can look at it.
Yeah.
Right? You rob everyone else from enjoying its beauty and you put it up on your mantle. And this is one of the problems I have with cut flowers.
Yeah.
To me, flowers are beautiful when they're growing outside. But the minute you cut it, you cut it and now you want it just for you. And then it dies from that point. No one else get a chance to enjoy it.
And the joke, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I have this repulsion almost for flowers, because it's always like at a funeral, you make these wreaths and all these bouquet of flowers for the dead as if they can smell them. They cannot.
The joke we've shared down here in Florida is that people do pull up a lot of the natural resources, the plants and the flowers, and then some people are silly enough to put plastic flowers in their yards to decorate.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yes.
So before we run away far, I wanted to make a comment with Earl on the reef. Now, I remember growing up, the 70s and the 80s, the Boca Reef was very colorful.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a lot of color, reds and yellows and greens and well, I don't know. I see Antonio, he has put up that they've made restrictions and things have changed. But the last time I saw the Boca Reef, it was just brown. It was just like brown right through. However, there's another reef in Tobago that's up Speyside area, I think up, that northern side. And that one I think is probably still colorful. I haven't been to that one, but the one in Buku, that's going to take some time to recover.
Yeah,
we might not see that colorful in our lifetime. That might be like another couple 100 years for that to spring up, in my opinion.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Our topic of change is going to be reflected in a variety of things. Another thing that we wanted to talk about, the changes that we're seeing politically in this country. I used the term to Curtis, and I guess he laughed at me instantly, but I feel as if we were lulled to sleep and Trump got into office, because I swear I was not aware of when he was vying for the party to support him. I was not aware. I knew when they decided to support him, but prior to that, I don't know what I was doing. It's been COVID season, people. I don't know what was happening. 3 children, online school. I did not know until he was nominated by the party to run.
Did we as citizens follow due process to see that a more suitable candidate became president, or were we allowed to sleep? As you were saying, not realizing who we allowed to get into office.
We were spectating.
I don't know what we were doing. I compare it. Sorry.
Go ahead, Karin.
No, I compare it to he was cracking up when you put like I know there's some people that eat frogs, so pardon the inference here. When you put a frog or a crab in some nice warm water, big stock pot of warm water, and it slowly warms up, and that frog is like, oh yeah, this is good, just lull you to sleep. I feel that's what happened. Something happened in the environment, politically, locally, statewide. I don't know what happened. I think we're just lulled. And then all of a sudden you're like, who? What do you mean? Donald who? Running for what? It was like stunning. It was surreal. It was absolutely surreal.
For me, I was everyone after he won, I was in Tobago, and we have a grocery not too far from where I live, Terry Brown. And so, of course, he sees me and he looks at me. He's at the cash register. He looks at me. He said, "What's going on with you all up there, man? What happened?" And I think, the world was watching, and we, not just us, but I think there was I think we thought that Hillary had it in the bag. Majority probably just felt that Hillary was just going to get it. And, that is when strategy and all these other things came into place. And then, it turned out totally different. And here we are. You talk about some change. This is some real change.
but I wanted us to identify the issue, and then we realized that people knew how to come out in numbers. They came out in unprecedented numbers to try to correct that error and not allow a repeat of a 4-year term.
Yeah.
That was the impressive part. That was really impressive. There's the positive change. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But still,
so we had a corrective action plan in place, people.
Yeah, you're right.
I think the nation has learned. I think America has learned its lesson. This is really one of the worst choices ever, in my opinion.
The worst that I have ever seen. I cannot.
Yeah, I'm still surprised at the number of people that voted for him, though. 75 million people. I think Trump's election was a backlash based on the fact that Obama was there. It opened up America as the racist country that it is. And we're now seeing how racist this country is. And people basically did not vote for Trump, but they voted because, against. Yeah. And now that we have a black woman as VP, that is a big sore spot for them now, because in a heartbeat, she will naturally assume the presidency of the United States if Biden should croak, right? Think about that, and they don't like that.
Well, is that related to my little froggy story, croak?
I think we say that at home. I don't know what you say in Jamaica, but in Trinidad we say croak.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Antonio Phillip just made a very interesting comment. He said, change the approach of making change. Are the methods we're using a bit outdated?
What are we talking about specifically?
In terms of making change, look, take for instance, some of the things that happened in 2020 with the police killings and shootings and whatnot.
Right.
What did we do? We get up and we go out there again and we singing, we shall overcome.
Okay.
Kumbaya, the same strategy from the 1960s. Are these methods outdated, or we need to have a different vehicle, a different instrument right now that we use to make change?
I don't know if in this regard we need we need to protest, yes. But in addition to, we need to vote. We need to put people in power who can do something for us.
We also need to be educated.
Who can make laws that will be on our side, that can protect us. So we need to
know the people. Know the people we're putting in there before we get there.
Know who you're putting in there.
My goodness.
But we thought we had that with Obama, though.
Obama? You mean what?
We thought we had that with Obama.
I personally believe Obama was more, what should I say? Okay, a black man has a chance of winning, so we support the black man, right? But I don't think people felt Obama would make a change as far as Black America is concerned. I don't think most Black Americans.
You had hope. You had people that were sitting there hopeful. I heard, who was it? Cat Williams. Cat Williams said, yo, we were sitting there waiting. Okay, Obama is in. Wait, we waiting. Okay, any minute now, he's going to say something. Any minute now, he's going to tell us what to do.
But you know,
he said if Obama had said everybody need to pick up a broom and go sweep your neighborhood, they would have grabbed a broom and go sweep. But people they were waiting. Okay, any day now, any day he's going to say something. And then you realize it's like, okay, what is...
Remember,
what is he doing there?
Remember, the president doesn't really do much relative to change at the community level. It's our community leaders, it's our politicians at the community level that really make change. People say Obama is from Chicago. How come he did not do anything relative to the crime situation in Chicago? It's bad in Chicago, worse than New York.
But doesn't that go back to the very nature of what we said initially, is that we have to make the changes in our local areas. We can't be looking for other people to come in and, tell us what to do. We know what the problems are.
That's right. That's
Let's
right.
take the necessary steps to correct it one by one.
And
Doesn't
so
have
people
to be
expected,
sweeping situation.
that's right. People expected Obama to change Chicago. He's president, so he can. No, it doesn't work that way. As Karin said, at the community level, we have to change. Me, you, everybody, we got to change our community. We need more community. And Obama was a community organizer. They laughed at him. I don't know if you guys remember the Republicans used to laugh at Obama because he was a community organizer, right? But we need that at the community level. We need change at the community level.
But once he became president, it was, he's no longer representing his little community or his state, so to speak. Like he said, it's now the United States of America. It's not just one state he was representing. So you can't expect him to jump up and say, I'm going to do something for Chicago. Then New York will say, what about me? Detroit say, what about me? So he had to represent everybody.
He was president of Black America. He was president of the United States of America. He had to represent everybody. That's right.
Of which we were part of that group.
Yeah.
But somehow a lot of Black people felt at the end of that 8 years that, okay, we supported you just because of this, but you really did nothing for us. I've heard that sentiment on the street.
When people say nothing, what do they mean? What about he tried to get universal health care? That did not work. So we are now stuck with Obamacare. And I know a lot of people who have benefited from Obamacare, though, even though it has its roadblocks, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But many Black people have benefited. He did something with student loans that Black people were benefited from that. So there are a lot of things that we benefited from. But what people wanted him to do, like buy you a house or something?
I don't know.
It doesn't work like that.
I think Earl is correct because folks misunderstood the process.
Yeah.
All right. He just, legislation and all of that is a whole different department. It's
not another branch. Yeah.
Right. So it comes to him and then he signs it into, he once it's passed, then he signs it in or it might be an executive order. So now I think a key element we're missing is that first, he was the first Black president. So he had to fill a certain role out. That's the first thing. He couldn't be too aggressive. He couldn't be too underaggressive. He had to sort of just fill out a certain role. Unfortunately, in this society, he had to do that. So that was one issue. The second issue was that when he got in, the majority of the Senate was Democratic. So that's how he was able to pass the bill initially. Remember, that was like one of the first bills he passed was the healthcare bill.
That's true.
Because when elections came, the House switched over to a Republican House, and the guy who's been blocking all the stuff of late in the last couple of years, he was blocking a lot of the stuff that Obama was trying to pass. So this is why we had this situation in Georgia where they're like, look, if we don't get these 2 seats in Georgia, Biden is going to be a sitting duck, because in where it counts, whatever he'd like to have pass or whatever the city or the Democrats would like to have pass, if the Republicans are majority, nothing is going to pass. So now you have a president who's a sitting duck. So everything he does would have to be an executive order, and then it has to go through a whole other thing. So a lot of people forget that part of it and think, okay, well, Obama is just going to come in and just he'll put in the gas, he'll put in the oil, he'll put the water in, the radiant, he'll put in the wiper fluid, and then he'll start the car. All he's just there to stare.
Remember the very night Obama won, the Republicans, McConnell and these guys were in a corner in some house in there saying that they're going to do all they can to frustrate this man. They're going to do all they can to block. And they did. As Sammy rightly said, when Obama came in, it was a Democratic, so he was able to get some things. But when it comes down to voting again, we got to vote for people.
Down to the vote, yeah.
It comes down to vote. For example, look at the $2,000 stimulus check. Who's trying to block it? But Biden said when he went to Georgia, he said, you vote for us, we would have the House, we'll have the executive, we'll have the judiciary, we'll have the legislative. And so it'd be easier for them to now vote things like that. And now that $2,000 check is going to come. It's going to come because all the votes are there.
Are you talking about a $2,000 stimulus loan
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
your tax return? That is no kind of stimulus check.
But whatever it is, people are
So
getting it. Stimulus
what
in the
if
sense
I
of
didn't
people.
work during that fiscal year, 2019 to 2020, which means my name is not even on that list? So then that person will get no check. How is that $2,000 helping that person? Every citizen, legal person within this country should have been receiving that check. Not just people who worked and paid taxes, because whoever celebrating for the 2,000, it's coming out in April. March or April when you get your income tax back. So what is the big deal? It's a loan on your own money.
Yeah, but you're getting a loan.
You're not lending me what is yours.
Right now,
you're lending me what is mine.
There are people who are not working. They don't have food to eat. They can't pay this. They can't pay that. Right now in America.
Yes.
Right? So that $2,000 loan, according to my cousin Curtis, would come in handy. You can do something with it.
But
so
no,
when you get it, when
you can buy a roti, you can buy a plate of jerk chicken.
Someone pay back.
Huh? Where you say something?
Now, mind you, this is money that came out of thin air, by the way.
Money that you were going to get back in a couple of months. It didn't come out of thin air. That's your tax return. You're getting back in pieces. That's all that is. And trust me, if you get overpaid, you will now have a bill that will become due.
The money belongs to the people. The money belongs to the people, really. The government is supposed to be a steward of the money. Do you know in Canada and England and these places, they're giving people with this COVID situation each month $2,000 each month, family per family. Only the United States, these Republicans, they can find billions of dollars to give Israel every year. But when it comes to us, they ask, where are we going to get it from? Do you know they give Israel billions of dollars every year? Israel.
And Americans can't get it.
That is not a loan. Where do they get our money from?
Do the math, $600 divided up by 12 months, divided up by how many days in a month? You end up with like $1 and some change.
That's embarrassing. That 600 is embarrassing. But it's better than nothing, though.
How can I live? What I tell people, I made a recent post on Facebook about this. I said, for all the people who are complaining that the $600 is nothing, fine. Take that little bit of nothing and invest it into something where it can grow. Because if you take the little bit of nothing that you get and squander it, you end up with nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So take the little something and invest it and make it into a bigger something. That was my advice to the ones who were complaining. Allow me to shift gears for a minute. Talking about change. One of the things I've seen on TV and in movies ever since I was a kid, Karin, you and I often speak about this, is people having casual drinks. You walk into an office, you need a drink, 2 glass cubes of ice, pour some alcohol in the middle of the day. Right? And as a child, I wondered, wait a minute, alcohol makes you inebriated. How come these people on the screen seem to be drinking all day? Regardless of where they go, they have a beer, they go here, they have a drink, pour scotch, some rum, some whiskey. And I noticed this as a child, and I realized that this was not a habit I wanted to pass on to my children. So guess what? I didn't do it. So can any one of you please speak about leading by example?
So I had an experience once, but early you're going to say something?
No, go ahead, Sam.
I had an experience once. True story. I went to my alma mater in Tobago purposely to start the CXC music program for the school, which is Harmon High School in Tobago. And the first year, it didn't work out. You know, I happened to the schedule was crazy. There were so many subjects and classes and how many teachers and blah blah blah. You know, the whole rigmarole. Yeah. And so the first year happened, and I was told, okay, so next year we're gonna have it where you can start, you know, with 4th formers and 5th formers, so they can do CXC music. So I come in for the second year, and the same thing happened. Schedules got filled up. There was nothing going on. So I saw the schedule, and then I went to the principal at the time, which was Murray. Murray, who was the principal who passed on there.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I'm doing stuff that any teacher could do, really. I'm here to start a music program. So he says to me, Sacha, what you want to do? I said, well, if I could get some interested students, I think I may have to come in on a Sunday and start that batch, so at least they can start the program. The thing with CXC is when you start the subject, you can't discontinue it. You got to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
So the trick was to at least get a couple of students to sit the exam. So now I had to sacrifice my Sundays to go to class, teach the kids that were interested in doing the CXC music. And trust me, when you're teaching all week, you really want your Sunday. Eh?
Yeah.
So to be the change, I had to hold the bull by the horns now and work with that small group. It was about 4 students, and we had 100% passes. And now my alma mater is offering CXC music to kids, 4th form and 5th form. They could do the subject, and it's there. But just imagine if I didn't sacrifice that Sunday or those Sundays leading up to them doing those exams, at least to start the process. There's a very good chance that CXC music would not be offered at Harmon right now.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that
Leading
was
by example.
we needed that change, and you make that extra effort to push and get it started.
You're not one of the talkers, you're one of the doers.
Yeah, leading by example is a character issue, I think. You know, it is, you know.
It is.
God has blessed us with gifts. We all have gifts, and God expects us to use those gifts to bless others. And part of it is leading by example, looking at the younger folks, and they look up to us. I mean, most of us don't realize it as adults, but young people look at us, and they look at us for guidance. And a lot of us drop the ball, you know. I must say, I lived in Brooklyn for close to 20 years. And as Sam knows, we lived in the Crown Heights area. I think, Sam, you lived in the Bedford. You live in the city, close to downtown.
East Flatbush for a little while, and then
you live around Spike Lee area.
Fort Greene, yes, yeah. Eventually, I was in Fort Greene.
Right. So, but I lived on Crown Heights, and I used to kind of admire the Jews. I mean, they have the negatives and all that stuff, but I admired the way they kind of led the younger ones, follow them, looked up to them, and they led by example. You know, there was a kind of cohesiveness that took place, and I think that is kind of lacking in our community. Many of us are doing it, but not too many of us understand how important it is for us as adults to lead by example. It's a character issue.
Agreed.
I mentioned Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi earlier. And one of the things he stated where they need to fight against the British, he said, we're going to make everything we wear, right down to our underwear.
Yeah.
And he led by example, took off the British clothes, discarded that, and showed that I don't need your stuff to survive. We are going to make everything. We are going to produce everything from what we wear, what we eat, everything. And that was a fine example.
That's what that was all about.
Yeah,
leading by example.
Yeah, he went into the Renaissance direction. I never understood the whole Renaissance vibe, you know?
Yeah, and we got to lead by example. We got to lead by example all the way, because that leading by example, if we don't go all the way, we move into the area of conning people. For example, someone told me, a Guyanese friend of mine told me that Forbes Burnham, who was the Prime Minister of Guyana, he said there was a part in Georgetown where there were a lot of bushes, you know, a lot of bushes in that part. And one Sunday morning, Burnham went with his, you know, security with a cutlass, and he started to cut bushes. Well, people say, hey, the Prime Minister is cutting bushes. So people went home and got their cutlass and came out chopping in 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes time. He left them and went away. You see what I'm saying? I mean, he led by example.
He led by example.
It was just a ploy.
To get them started. To get them started.
To get them started.
When he realized how hot the sun was, he said, nah, this ain't for me.
Well, we have to lead by example all the way.
Hold that point, because they had a situation at the Capitol State Building last week, and the man who was leading said, I will be with you.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's a con man. That's right, Sam. You hit it on the head.
When they went there, he was nowhere there to be found.
I'm going to march with you. I'm going to march with you. He never went with them. And that's, well, we in New York, can I say that on your show? I'm not cursing or anything. We who lived in New York City, Sam, myself, also Curtis, everybody know that man as a con man. Everybody knew that man. New Yorkers know Trump as a con man. So when we see the country now, but people are now catching on. This guy is a con man. This guy to call radio stations and pretend that he's somebody else, bigging up Trump, you know, and using different voices. So yeah, that's a good point, Sam. He said, "I'm going to be with you."
Flip side. So the Burnham example was good, because at least he came out and started the process of cutting the bush. With the next guy, he basically said, and he said, I will be with you. I saw that. I was like, what?
Yeah, he did say that. He
didn't say in spirit. They thought he was going to be right there leading the charge.
But then what was the motive, though? What was Burnham's motive? When we lead by example,
get the people to clean up the place. You're sitting and waiting on the government. You're complaining every time the bus passes, the bush beating on the bus going down the road. And the government may not have it in the budget to hire workers to go clean and cut that entire strip.
In 5 minutes, he was gone.
But at least he got the people to come out and do something. You didn't need him to get up and do that, but he had to do something to make the people get up and cut the bush around your place.
And that's not a new strategy. I've seen well, if you're an elected official,
right,
you have a schedule, you have like an itinerary.
Yeah.
So one might be you come here to cut the ribbon and give a quick speech, but you know it was advertised that this elected official is going to be at this spot for this thing here, and really and truly he or she might just be there for 10-15 minutes. They'll come cut that ribbon, click, take the photo up, give a quick speech, and encourage the folks. Yes, this is a great thing and all the good stuff, and everyone is excited. And next thing you see a little limousine pulling out in the back over, so they go on to the next thing. So maybe Burnham had stuff to do.
Yeah, well, when he left, people left too.
Or they didn't stay.
Well, no, I'm sure some stayed, but some people would leave. He leaving, I leaving too. He's there, I'm there too.
I want to sort of touch on the way that these rioters that invaded the Capitol building last Wednesday, how they were treated, not only by the local security police officers in the area, but how they were treated, how they were spoken about in the media, as opposed to the Black Lives Matter movement activists who peacefully demonstrated. They were weaponized.
Oh, yeah.
They entered, and God knows what else they planned. They found pipe bombs that did not go off and things like that. And the differences in treatment in people of color in a peaceful movement and people who feel entitled.
Yeah, that is indeed an issue. That's the American story.
The change I would like to see there is for people to become people of color, I would say primarily, to become so much more politically active that we get rid of this duality. The same crime, same punishment. Not people of color go away for 20 years and they might get a little slap on the wrist, or a little misdemeanor fine. I'm sort of over that, and that is what I would like some commentary on that.
My take on it. Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
You know, it's a simplistic. What I'm saying may sound simplistic, but I would say it's a sin issue, and it's not. We mean, we look at racism, and racism is real, and it's happening. And what is happening? What we seeing playing right before our eyes is racism. But no one talks about colorism, even
we
among
do.
us.
We do.
We do.
We do. We dedicated 3 shows to that.
Oh, you did?
So,
Okay, right.
yes.
But it's not loud enough.
We have that issue. You know, among us, Spike Lee made a movie on that, right? So I can understand why racism occurred. I think we all understand why it happens. It's a sin issue. It's an issue where people think, okay, I'm better than you or whatever, and that happens even within our race. All right. But you're right. It's something that it's an issue that we have to work on that issue. It would never be we would never get rid of that issue.
No,
100%. But we have to work on it, and we have to start
hold them
because it comes back to change. We got to start with us and our heart, the way we treat each other. You know, I can't be complaining about how the white man treat me when I'm treating you
worse,
and calling our black women H's and B's, and in another vein, I'm talking about racism. To me, that makes no sense. I see that on Facebook all the time. People calling black women name, and then they talk about racism and the white man, and I'm saying, well, okay, we treat our
that would require some introspection, and not everyone has that skill.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to also think, it's my opinion. I was posting here and there stating that I don't think reform is going to make any sort of change for the police departments. I personally think they have to rip that up and build a whole new situation. And actually, if you pay attention to what happened last week again, you had officers taking selfies. Things were laxed. There were no rubber bullets. There weren't pepper spray and all types of stuff that they do to us, right? And you will see they know how to stand down when it's, when it's one of theirs, they know how to stand down. But flip it the other way, we'll definitely be dead people. Going to the grave. So this police department or the police, I mean across the board, I don't think reform is going to help this, because it's infiltrated with all types of stuff inside there.
But that is where reform comes in, Sammy. The police is just a microcosm of the society at large. In the society, we have crazy people, we have stupid people, we have racist people. When you go to the police, you find stupid police, racist police, crazy police.
Sometimes they all wrapped up as one.
You have good people and you have good police, white and black. Right? We have good white policemen who wake up in the morning and they don't go out looking for black people. They're good men. But then there are the bad ones, right? And there's where the reform comes. We can weed out the bad ones. We wouldn't be able to get all, but we can weed out the bad ones. We have to do something has to be done, right? In the hiring process. Why would you send white police? Sammy, when we lived in New York, in the 90s, we used to see white policemen walking up Bedford Avenue, only white policemen, right? We didn't see people that look like us.
Yeah.
Community policing, so something can be done. That is reform. That's part of reform. We need people that look like us. People who came from the neighborhood. I wouldn't want to damage my neighborhood. People who come from the neighborhood. This is my neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? And that's part of the reform. So I think we can do some reform, but I agree with you. We would never be able to 100% eradicate, because there'll always be stupid people, racist people.
Well, I understand that part of it, but I'm talking from it historically. Historically, what the police department grew into, they used to go and catch slaves back then. So when you look at it historically to what it became, there's why I think it just needs to be rebuilt opposed to just reform. Because even when these guys are training, when they go to the shooting range, who you think pictures they have up there that they're shooting at? Who you think when they train the dogs, they have 2 black guys in padded gear that they're training the dogs with, So
But
even
Sammy,
the dogs and
reform
all,
is rebel. I
right,
think we're
well,
using the word we're
I
using.
see it.
Reform is rebel.
They need to rip that up and build that over.
Well, that is reform, though. But that is reform.
Is that the
But
platform
I
you'll
don't
be
think
running?
that's their form
Ma'am?
of reform. The
Is
version
that the
of reform.
platform you'll be running on?
Huh?
Is that the platform you'll be running on?
No. Their version. Let me check. Their version of reform is you get some money, send them to a black museum somewhere, or some black history something like that. Just
Or
do some kind of little thing, and
or to
that's the
some
reform they're talking about.
sensitivity training, some
Yeah,
sensitivity training.
that's not the reform they
A
need.
little.
Weed out the bad cops, weed out the racist cops. They're there. They know who they are.
And recruitment. You guys haven't really said recruit more people who look like the communities that
In
they're
the
going to be
community.
working in.
Exactly.
They don't have
Exactly.
to live there because hey, that's just far too much punishment. But
All the
recruit people who
policemen,
actually look like the people that they're
that's
protecting.
right. Most of the policemen in the 90s were white, and they all lived in Long Island. They don't care about the black areas. They just
And they
come
cannot
here.
relate. They cannot
They
relate to
cannot
the
relate.
experiences
Exactly.
and stuff
So,
like that.
so that is reform. But Sammy, I'm curious, Sammy. You mean fire all of them and start over?
Clean
Well,
house.
what you normally would no. What I was saying is their version of reform is where they would again money is paid. That's where the whole funding thing comes in. Money is paid to these departments. And what happens is that their version of reform is what Karin said in terms of sensitivity training. That is not really going to fix the problem.
That's only one part of it, though. You do that,
right? But that's what I mean. But that's majority of what they are. So if you're going to really do it, I mean, if I was in charge of that, I had no time for that. But if I was in charge of that, I would actually build that department with a certain set of specifications, and that will be the transitional force. You clean up that whole other thing, fire everybody over there, and let everybody start over, and you do a whole psychological thing and see who and a background check, and you vet these guys, retrain them the way they need to be trained. So, you'd have a transitional version, and then you'll have the version that can actually come out and go into these communities and operate the way that they're supposed to operate.
But while that is happening, who's going to protect us? The criminals will run amok?
You train the transitional section first.
Okay.
They will come in, you kill the other set, and when you get the rail set ready,
fire the other set. Fire the other set.
Commissioner.
Yeah, that's how you do that. That's how you do that. Rip that up.
Fire the other set, Stan. Fire the other set.
He said fire them, Sam, not kill them.
Fire them.
I said kill?
Yeah, you said kill the other
sorry,
set.
guys.
The Islanders will understand, but
right there you lose the election.
The others, not so much.
You lost the election right there.
I lick up.
But people, I want to bring this thing a little closer to home. Talking about change in the home with couples.
Wow.
I've seen married couples, boyfriend, girlfriend. I've seen people in situations where they actually threaten one another to change some course of action or else.
Woo.
This is kind of, you want to rule or make people fear. Is fear-based change everlasting?
No.
It might be. You hear the joke about the man whose wife talked to him once. I think she talked to the horse once. And then the horse do something, and then she killed the horse. And then the husband see it. And then she talked to him once, and she didn't have to worry about anything.
I heard a saying recently, and it depends on how it is read, but essentially, I'm paraphrasing. Without fear, there is no power. Because if somebody is not able to make you fearful of some consequence, they cannot hold you. They cannot, hold you under duress. They have no power over you, essentially is what I'm saying. And that is whether you're talking within a relationship or at large in the community, globally. If there's no fear, there's absolutely no power.
That's interesting.
Whether they use weapons to, enforce or whatever. But if there is no fear, there's absolutely no power.
So what about the
are
Bible
you saying that
passages
there
that
needs
say,
to be some form of fear in there?
Hmm?
Are you saying that there needs to be some level of fear?
There has to be a fear of repercussions. At this point in this country, and for the last how many hundreds of years, there are no repercussions for officers who go out
Okay, bring it
purposefully.
back home. Bring it back
No,
home.
no,
Bring
no.
it back
For
home.
for
We're
any
talking
there is
relationships
no
here now.
fear. There is no fear of any consequence, any real consequence to a Caucasian person inflicting pain or outrightly, killing somebody who's black. No matter what level you're talking about,
Okay.
there's no repercussion.
so in the
You can,
context of a relationship,
in the
a
context of a relationship, somebody's seeking
covenant,
power,
right?
whether it's a man or a woman, is seeking
But
power
but is that
and
right?
is threatening.
But is that right? That is not right.
Absolutely not. Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Am I even going to think? No, absolutely
Yeah,
not
but I'm
right.
saying we're trying to see change within what's supposed to be a loving relationship. But yet still some people choose to do that by striking fear in the other person. Do
Right.
this or else.
That
Right.
is not healthy.
But I'm
Right.
saying,
That
is
is
that
not
kind of
healthy.
change everlasting in a relationship?
No.
Well, if it's everlasting, somebody ends up dead. You know what I mean? Could be 20 years of,
Yeah.
situation like that. Somebody, I'm done. I'm done.
You know what I think happens is like if a parent is really protective of a child,
Yeah.
and that child gets a chance, let's say they become 18, 19, they get to that level, and a lot of times they leave, and when they leave, they go like totally left because they were so protected. I think in a relationship,
restricted.
the same thing
You say
happens
protected.
Restricted, yes.
if someone is really dominant over that other person, when that person gets a chance to get out of there, they're gonna.
That's true. That's true on all levels, children or adults.
Yeah.
You try to
So
control
I think,
your spouse or your partner every move, and those situations exist for men and women. I know I'm not represented tonight, but I've got to keep it real. It happens for men and women.
Yeah, we let you talk. We let you talk.
keep it real,
You
man.
let me talk? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
But it happens to both sexes, and
Yeah.
to try to repress, to control someone's movement, who they can call, when they can call, where they go, when they come home, what they do when they're home, how they dress when they're going out. Oh my God.
But
What happened to
There's
basic
too much
respect?
stress, man. There's
What
too much
happened to
stress.
basic respect?
in the area of change, I think in the context of a relationship, a real relationship that is a healthy one is one where either party realize that there would be change. There got to be change. She has to change. You don't want, who would want the same woman thinking the same way when she's 20, thinking the same way? Like Muhammad Ali say, if you are thinking the same way at 50, the way you were when you were 30, you would have missed 20 years of your life. That's a Muhammad Ali quote, right? Something like that.
Something similar to that, yes.
I have
People mature. Your woman mature, your husband, your man mature. It's supposed to that's change, maturity.
And hopefully you can flow with it. I have a friend who refers to a 45-year-old that he was involved with for a long time as a 40-year-old teenager, because she really has not made that transition.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to change. That's change. Maturity is change. Maturing.
She hasn't.
That's change. Yeah.
And some people don't. They don't get to that point where they make the readjust.
Yeah.
What about the people who feel that they need to be dominated, though? Because you even have that.
That's a different thing. That is more of a sexual addiction or a sexual anomaly somewhere there. You know what I mean? You can want to play all kinds of ways with your partner. That's different from actually wanting somebody to victimize.
I think I need Karin to expound on that. Play.
I'm not afraid to answer you.
I know you're not afraid.
Exactly. Someone might like a little S&M, a little something. You know what I mean? What two consenting adults agree to is their business. But when you have one dominating the other, then we have an issue. Then we have a major issue.
That's not healthy.
How the song goes, Sam, things will never change what?
Until we do something about it.
Until we do something about it.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, lady, we all know that what we put out in life is what we get back. I've heard a story about a father and his son went out like in the Grand Canyon, and the son stood at the edge of the cliff, and he was like, hey, 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 hey. And then he yelled, you dummy, 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 came back. You stupid, 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 came back. And he went to the father and he said, it's strange. Whatever I say, it just keep echoing out there. And the father said, take that as a lesson in life, son. Whatever you put out is what you're going to get back tenfold. How many times you said dummy? He said once. How many times you heard it back? I don't know, about 25 times. Yeah. It just kept echoing. It kept growing.
I like that.
So the lesson is what you put out in life is what's going to come back to you. And so many times, like I said in the opening, we point that accusing finger at our mates and not realizing sometimes the damage that we are doing, the part that we are playing in that relationship. And we only seem to look at the other person. Well, she treated her, she only done, she. He. And then he asks, what did you do? Me? Nothing. We hold ourselves blameless in
live in a void.
Not realizing that we might have been putting out something that was creating that negativity to come back to us. So once again, like Michael Jackson said, you start with the man in the mirror.
That's right.
Changing yourselves. And you know how difficult it is to change yourself? Why would we ever try to change somebody else? To stop doing some of the things that you're doing, reaching to work late, eating unhealthy, not exercising, some of the things that we know we need to do for ourselves, to improve ourselves, improve our own lives, we don't do. So how in the name of all things great and small, you can expect to change somebody else when it's so difficult to change sometimes to change your own mind. How do you expect to change people?
Great.
Yeah.
Is that some kind of sickness? What is it?
Humanity. That's some kind of sickness. Yes, it is. Far easier to blame somebody else than to look at your own reflection.
Responsibility, accountability, personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility.
Yeah.
I remember hearing us. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the people who can't see that, at least see it, acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge that there is an issue within yourself, about yourself, before you can take the steps to say, okay, let me try this. Okay.
It comes in that baggage we walk with from relationship to relationship, because, whatever it was, he did it to me, she did it to me.
And it's compounded.
Same situation plays out in the other relationship, and you walk away from that and you said, he did it to me or she did it to me, and you're not realize what is the one common denominator in every situation. Somehow you keep repeating the same mistakes, and somehow you seem to think it's the other person's fault all the time. That change you want to see in that relationship starts with you, my son. It starts with you.
That's right.
Otherwise, you keep stomping your toe. Any one of you have any furniture finders on your feet? When you take off the light and you walk through the dark house?
Right.
How is it?
Second and third toe of my right foot. Yes.
How is it you don't bounce that chair when the light on? You're not looking down. But you tend to walk straight.
And it's always one piece of furniture. One piece.
You find that chair in the dark.
That's right.
It's true.
The same thing you keep doing in relationships.
That's just Stevie Wonder. Yeah.
Good. I remember a story I read or heard somewhere one time about a couple, an elderly couple. They came down to Florida to retire. They moved into this nice neighborhood, and about 6 months later, the wife told the husband she wants to go back to their hometown because she don't like it here. And he said, "Why? This is everything you ever dreamed of. You wanted a house with a swimming pool, the lake nearby, sunshine. I gave you all of that. Why are you not happy?" She said, "Nobody in this community likes me." This is after they packed up. He said, "Well, what?" She said, "Nobody likes me." And he went to the meeting, the community center where all the women are, and he said, "Well, my wife said she's going back home." The people said, "Why?" She said, "Nobody here likes me." "Why don't you all like my wife?"
We don't know her.
"You don't know your wife. Since you all came here 6 months ago, she's been inside. She don't come out. She don't come. She don't meet anybody. We invited her to come play this. She didn't show up. We invited her to do this. She didn't come. We don't know her."
Right.
So she was the problem, not the people in the community.
That's right.
She somehow expected people to gravitate towards her. She expected people to come and have dinner. I don't know. She didn't invite anybody to dinner. She didn't go out, so no one invited her to dinner. She didn't socialize with people. But yet still, in her mind, it was everyone else's fault. Not taking a look at the person in the mirror and realize that half of the walls that we beat against in life, we're the ones that put them up. We're the ones that put them up. And we need, once we do that, Earl said it earlier, introspective look, we realize that we're the ones that fault. And we can, in fact, create that change that we so much seek and looking for in other people. It starts with us. Gentlemen, time flies when you're having fun. I'd like for you all to let us hear your own take. Your own take. Karin, you were caught up on the political arena tonight.
Not caught up. It was just so significant.
Yeah. That was your baby tonight. You know, you got in the ring there and you fought about the situation.
Man,
let's hear your closing.
I think our actions our action is our power. To be able to say we're complaining about this problem, this problem, this problem. I'm going back to the politics of things because that's at the forefront. We have to learn about our local or regional or national, state politicians before they get into positions of power and can wield a hammer at our heads and impact our lives directly. We have to know who's out there representing us or our communities. We have to learn. Inaction is a chronic disability in this country where people complain so much and do so little about their circumstances.
It's true.
We have to take action, and action means getting involved politically because politics wields power in this country. Just like money, but that money, with the politics comes the money.
More and more of our people, yes, Karin, that is really good. More and more of our people are getting it slowly. And that lady in Georgia, she's pretty much preaching the same sermon like you did, that you just preached. What's her name? Stacey Abrams.
Okay.
You know, yeah. We got to mobilize. We got to vote. We got to look for political strength because we really don't have it right now. And the Jews understand that political strength is real strength. We can help our own. We can support our own. We can affirm our own. And I heard a statistic that was really it blew me away. I found out that if you have a situation where a man and a woman are very ill with COVID, ill unto death, in more cases, the man would die and the woman would survive. More women are surviving COVID than men. More men are dying. from COVID.
More women are surviving marriages than men. They stress us out.
That's a good point. No, the point I'm trying to make is that they say female babies outlive male babies. If you have female babies and male babies, both very sick unto death, more female babies tend to survive than male babies. And I think God has designed it that way. We need our woman. And I was looking at this thing tonight. You know, we have 3 men and then we have the Rose there. And I'm looking at her. I'm saying she brings that softer touch to the whole program. I know she did, her voice and everything. And so I'm thinking, I'm hoping one day we can have a female president of this country. I'm really, as a man, I am looking forward to that.
And to all the dummies who say that women can't rule, who raised you?
My cousin Curtis, the 5 top countries in the world that handled COVID the best, they're back to normal right now, were all led by women.
Women prime ministers and women presidents.
Women. What does that
Germany is the only one that can come to mind of this.
Australia.
New Zealand. Yeah, women. That speaks volumes.
So Earl, give us your closing thoughts on this change situation. What would you like to say?
When I think about change, I think about personal responsibility, as I said at the top, and personal accountability. Each of us have to look within ourselves, as we have said many times, that Michael Jackson song, take a look at yourself and make that change. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begins with me. Let there be peace in my home, and let it begins with me. Let there be peace in my community. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace in my country, but let it begin with me. It comes right back to me. And Curtis, you emphasized that tonight. You even said that when I point at you, there are 3 fingers pointing right back at me. And that's true. You see, let it begin with me. You see, let there be peace and let it begin with me. So yeah, when I think about change, I think about personal responsibility and accountability. Change. Take a look at yourself and make that change.
Mr. Archer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. One of the things I want to leave with my colleagues tonight and also those viewing is in reference to change. One of the things I did to I think that helped to turn things around for me. And it's actually related to the story that Curtis spoke about with the kid yelling into the mountains and everything echoing back. Many times in life, there are things we want to do and we self-sabotage ourselves. You know, we plant seeds. We plant seeds of doubt. And, you know, so it's always, I don't have enough money to do this, or we let money or the opportunity become not the opportunity, sorry, but we let money or whatever you have to use to exchange to create that situation become the main piece when it's not supposed to be the main piece. And what we have to start doing is planting seeds that are positive. So instead of I can't afford this, then you want to say things like, how can I afford this if this is the outcome? And I was even advising a few people that were looking to get into projects and recording. I said, well, you know what? Take the money out of the conversation for now. Let's say you had all the money you need. What is your vision? And let me hear what your vision is, or let me sell your vision to me, and then we could look and see what the money aspect of it is. So one of the things I want to leave with folks is to plant seeds that are positive, and it should start to help bring some positivity to your life. And I'm going to put up 2 more pictures quickly, and that will be my contribution to the conversation. So one of them is this one here. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change.
Change. Yes. Jim Rohn, master philosopher.
That's right. And to change your life, you need to change your priority.
Word.
All right. So that is my 2 cents. You want to deal with the chat, Mr. Henry? Deal with the chat portion?
Yeah, let's see. We started off with Lucy O'Brien, one of our avid supporters. She said, "Good night, welcome. Thank you, Lucy, for joining us and always supporting." Sherry Ann Sylvester, same to you. Thank you for always tuning in.
That's right.
Mr. Antonio Phillip, he said, Tobago on the map. Hi, folks, Tobago on the inside.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us. Good to know my folks are doing well. Then he took the religious thing. He said God didn't change for us, he changed us. Things have to change out there. Recovery takes time. Miss Diane Roxanne Martin, she said change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time.
Exactly.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. That's a quote coming from your boy, Earl, former President Barack Obama. Antonio said to change the approach of making change, which we did comment on. And then he went in to talk about Trinidad, and they need to change the way they make changes politically. That's a whole other topic that I cannot speak on when it comes to Trinidad and their politics. I tend to stay out of that one because the first thing people try to do to put me in my place and say, you ain't living here. Hush your mouth, you ain't living here, stay out of your business. So I had to stay out of Trinidad politics.
That's right.
Excuse me?
I'm wondering if Karen's approach is the same as it relates to her home country. You stay out of the politics? Or?
I'm not well versed in the politics, but when I'm aware of certain situations, I'm vocal about certain things. But you know, if you're not living there, you don't really have a true feeling.
Yeah. As we say back home, sorry I cut across you, Curtis. Sorry to cut across you there.
In reference to change, we have to change the grammar of saying black when we're speaking about each other. That is another topic of discussion in terms of the amount of names and changes that we have gone through, searching for that that identity, for something to hold on to that belonged to us. So, Antonio, as we go through time, we went from nigger to Negro to colored to black to African American.
Afro-American first.
Afro-American.
And then African.
Then African American, Afro-Cuban, Afro this, Afro, a whole bunch. What we're doing, we're trying to find something. And I don't know how many years, again, it's going to take before we may make an entire circle and come right back and say, what, you know what? I'm an American. I'm born right here. I'm an American of African descent. I don't know where we will be in another 50 years from now, but it's a constant effort to create change in terms of changing our identity and changing how people see us, not changing the identity of claiming that identity and changing the way other people see us. So this is why we use that black term. You know what? No one else can use that.
So the only thing that is constant is change.
So yeah, and that's what we're talking about, change. All right. So we move on, Sherry Ann Sylvester. She made a comment again. Where were you? That's true. When what you put out comes back, you put out positive energy, it will be returned to you in some form or the other. Change comes with divine conviction. And that comes from Mr. Antonio Phillip as well. The greatest day in your life and mine is when we take total responsibility for our attitudes. The day we truly grow up, a quote by John Maxwell coming from Diane Roxanne Martin. Great discussion, everyone. We must get involved. Thank you all so much for joining us and being part of that discussion. As for me, some of the things I would like to see, what we can do is to change our behavior. We need to spend more time using these two things here. These two things here.
Listening.
Women especially. Understand that.
I knew it was coming. It was like an 18-wheeler that I couldn't change lanes, you know?
Understand, people, that women, these things are not just for wearing earrings, Miss Bantu Creations. They are for listening. We need to spend more time listening to each other. We need to listen when our spouses complain. We need to listen, to learn, and not to respond. So many people just, yeah, right, yeah, but what about, hold on, you just dismissed everything I said so that you can make a comment. No, listen attentively. This can create a whole lot of change where someone feels that they are heard, that they are understood. Not just allow someone to talk and from the minute they shut up or before they shut up, you begin to talk. That's total disrespect. It makes someone feel unworthy, as if what they have to say is of zero importance. Listen. Listen to that inner voice inside of you. The things that you know you need to do to change. Write them down. Write them down. Trust me, it helps. And one by one, strike them off your list. Okay, you need to jog. You need to jog. Okay, fine. Maybe I don't feel like today. You know what? Get up, walk around the building. Once. Walk along the block once. Tomorrow, next week, do it twice. Do it 3 times. Then start to walk faster. Before you know it, your fast walk will turn into a jog. But you have to begin somewhere, people. You have to begin. You're not going to get up from where you are to running 5 miles a day. It won't happen. You'll pull a muscle, break a leg, something. Warm up. Start with small changes within your own life and watch and see the dramatic end result it will have. Learn how to stand out as individuals. Don't conform to change the world. You will never, ever influence the world by trying to be like it. That's not the kind of change we're talking about. Learn how to be yourself. Change your mindset. As Sam said earlier on, think positivity thinking and watch the difference it will have in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. It's been another great show. We begin this new year with a bang. Let's keep the thing going. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure.
One love, one love, one love. Have a good week.